Reload the song, man. I want to hear it again. Hello, Ghost Viking. How are you? Welcome in. How's your day going, man? Hello, hello, hello. I'm good. I'm good. There is some problems with my system, but I don't know how to fix it. Basically, anything that requires Chrome or anything that's related to Chrome, it's taking a long time to load, basically. Let me try Twitch. Twitch is better now, at least. It's a bit better now. Earlier, just this loading page would have taken like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. 3 stream streak. Let's go. Thank you for the 3 stream streak, man. Appreciate it. Uh, Escape simulator, right? So it's gonna go here. Let's see how much of the download is left. Let's see. I placed a game on download, but I don't think it's downloaded yet. Oh, it installed. It just installed. Let's go. So we can play Escape Simulator, but I think I'm gonna start with High on Life today. Maybe later on we can switch to Escape Simulator when there are like more people there. There's new stuff. What's new? Creator batch drops. Let's see. Ah. Okay, that could have been one of the. It could have been one of those. I see. Smart cost. No, no one. Power ups. Are there like new ones? Custom power ups. I agree. What does it do though? I hate that it's scrolling on its own, but it's okay. Nothing. Hi, Olex. Welcome in. How are you? How's your day been? What you up to? Let's go. Wait, I think first is also not claimed yet. Just came back. From where? कहाँ से? Having dinner? Oh, what's for dinner? Shopping? Oh, nice. क्या लाए? Pizza? Oh, nice, nice, nice. I just had curry and roti. I'm good, I'm good. Just looking at some stuff. Uh, OBS is giving me some problems, but nothing new. I was wondering when we can do split fiction. I was gonna text you earlier, but I didn't know if you would be available. Shadow का है बोलो. I am available anytime, to be honest. You can text me, so it's up to you. Split कर सकते हैं अभी? Sure, we can. I have split, right? Yes. कल करें? चलेगा. I'm down. I'm down for tomorrow. I'm down. Booked. Booked for today. सही है, सही है. I also found a lot of new games that I want to try with other people. Most of them are like in the Xbox Game Pass. So I do want to try it before I run out of it, basically. One of them is this one, Crash Out Crew. And there's a few more that I want to try. But I think I'll be playing Escape Simulator like after like an hour or two, I think, today. That's the plan, at least. There's a funny modder. I love my funny mod, man. I love him. How much has the funny mod had today? It's me, I know. I know it's you. Okay. I'll start the game. Uh, I think 6 is my window capture, so it should be working properly. Buck Thunder 2. Let's see. Dino Slaughter. Hopefully the game works with like controller and stuff. It does, it does, it does. New game, story mode. For players just want to experience the story without worrying about being challenged. Experience playing shooters, yes. Glasses of, or how much fun I had. Glasses of Jays.
Check, check. Hello. Can you read me? Buck Thunder. Buck. Oh, it's me, Phil, your divorce attorney. Welcome to Buck Thunder 2.
Divorce attorney.
Another Buck Thunder game. Your ex-wife is back and more evil than ever. She's sending a bunch of her new blood-sucking boyfriends out. So go kill them all, Buck. That's the game.
That's the game.
Buck, it's me, Phil, your divorce lawyer again. You remember how to move and jump and everything, right? There's shit on the
Do I?
that tells you how to do all that stuff. I mean, come on, Buck. This is the second game. You know how to do all this shit.
Is this the second game? I think it's the first one though, no? Shit. I fell down.
Buck, are you okay? I thought you knew how to do this, Buck. All right, Buck, you're gonna have to use the brand new double jump to get over there. Oh,
It doesn't work.
sorry, Buck. I forgot there's no double jump. Just crouch. We gotta try crouching, Buck. Fucking scheduling and scoping bullshit.
17 full glass.
Over a double jump.
Damn.
Who is this? Who did
So still not fully drunk yet, but okay. Good amount.
Good boy, all right. Fucking scoping and scheduling bullshit. Fucking double jump. Not more important than a crouch. Stay sharp, Buck. A bunch of your ex-wife's new alien boyfriends. There they are, coming right at you. Just shoot them, Buck. You remember how to shoot, don't you?
I didn't know I had an ex-wife.
That's what I'm talking about, Buck. Kill those fuckers. You're the man. I love you, Buck. You're so fucking cool. Oh, I'm so excited and lit up to be your divorce attorney. You have no idea. You're my favorite client. All right, Buck, just open that door. It's so fucking easy. Just press the right button. This is just the tutorial part. It's easy. It's the easiest part, Buck. Oh my God, Buck, you did it. You opened the door. You're a fucking genius. You are my favorite client. It's me, by the way, your divorce attorney. Don't forget, I'm Phil, your divorce attorney. Let's go. Let's get moving. Let's defeat your ex-wife.
Defeat your ex-wife. Sure.
Buck, Phil here, your divorce attorney. Let me fill you in on what's going on. An alien spaceship landed in your ex-wife's backyard. She fell in love with the leader, and it turns out they're all a hive mind, so she's fucking all of them. What are the odds? I know that's probably what you're thinking.
Ads rolling now.
Get out there and kill them, Buck. That's all you can do.
Oh shit. Oh my God, there's so many. There's so many. Ad is finished. Let's go. Come on, there's so many. How are there so many? Oh my God. Come on.
Hey, open up! You gonna hide in there all day? Mom and Dad just left.
Do I have to? Oh shit. What?
You gonna answer me or what?
No.
Open it! You better not be doing anything weird in there.
Says you.
Why didn't you say goodbye to Mom and Dad before they left for their trip? You know they were
Who's she?
pissed, right?
Sister?
Whatever. We got the place to ourselves now. Oh my God! Don't give me that look, narc. What are you mad that I'm throwing this party tonight? It's fine. Mom and Dad are gone for a
Oh,
whole
she's-
fucking week. We can do whatever we want.
I'll be home in 5 to 8 minutes.
Here,
Let's
come on,
go.
try some. You know it's good for your depression, right? Okay, we're totally gonna rage tonight. I cannot wait. Whoa, whoa, it's kicking in. What is wrong with your face? So anyway,
This one.
finally, there you are. I felt like I was losing my mind. So, do you want any or nah? Fine. more
Yes or no?
information. All right, I'm gonna go get ready for the party. This stuff's gonna last me all week. It is
Fucking stoner
powerful.
sister, man. Damn. Wait, you can close your PC with just a keyboard click? Damn. Butt portal. Last probe. Clenching for survival. Silly mom kayak trip. The moms are back, and this time they brought. What did they brought? Oh, kayaks. Bus stop Bandito. Planet Punk. The Kissing Dance. Goon Mouse. For a second, I read that as Goon Mouse. I don't know why. Detective Dumb. National Camp. What? The Reptilian. Okay. Lawrence of Arabia 2. Dumb Punks. Movie Made Me Do It, starring Mech Baby Boom. Bedtime for the Universe. Stage 5 Clingers. They'll find you in theaters soon. Damn, he has so many posters. Okay. Okay, buddy. Comfort smells like Nook. Okay, let's go out. Grandpa, grandma, I'm hoping. Dog. summon your post. Let's go. Oh, that reminds me. Settings, video, window full screen. Why is the resolution 720p? Okay, never mind. Mhm. Let's see. Barbecue, something, cycling, graduation.
Mom told me I was in charge. She did it in secret so it wouldn't hurt your feelings, and Dad said that he flat out doesn't love you. It was actually pretty messed up. By the way, Mom left you a note on the fridge. Go read it. Then come meet me outside. I need your help grabbing party shit from the store.
In the kitchen, right? She left me a note in the kitchen. I'm hoping these are not it. Skater, Raid, and Game Squad. Okay. About one now. Nice. Oh, there it is. Hello, sweetheart. It would have been nice if you had come downstairs to say goodbye to your father and I before we left. We hope you know we love you very much, but we can't keep supporting you if you're just gonna sit around playing video games all day. You should follow Lizzie's example. She already
Come in or what?
accepted into 3 great schools. I really hope you can get your act together. Why don't you figure out a plan before we get back? Love, Mom. Okay.
Come on. I don't want to carry it all myself.
She is outside. Okay. Can I run? I can't even run.
So, I guess...
Oh.
Oh, what the fuck? Get
What?
down and stay quiet.
Rick and Morty kind of stuff. Okay. Aliens have come in. Oh, there's a goopy one.
Can you understand what they're saying? Oh shit!
What?
Look, it's Mr. Pilfrey. He's got that what's it called? Dementia.
What's going
Ah.
on here? Martha, is that you?
Martha is that you?
What did they just do to Mr.
Oh.
Pilfrey?
Oh, he ate him. Damn.
What the fuck is going on?
What? Oh, he's dead. Something happened, no? Oh, they're gone. They're gone. The old man's dead. Hmm.
Finally! Oh my god, finally I'm free, thank god! What a nightmare! Listen, can you pull the inhibitor chip out of me? It's the metal thing stuck in me, just pull it out!
What the fuck is that?
Oh, it's that one.
Oh, that feels so much better, thank you. Yeah, sorry about the spit. I needed to get you infected with the translator microbes. That's sort of how it works. I guess you guys don't have those here yet. Listen, my name's Kenny. I'm a Gatlian. We gotta move.
What is it? Is it
We gotta move.
talking to you? Maybe we should go back to
Yeah.
Ignore her. It's very important that you listen to everything I say. Okay, it is your lucky day right now. We can survive this together if you just listen to me. Those T3 guys are gonna turn your whole species into drugs. Can you handle a gun? Because, you know, I'm kind of a gun, and if you don't use me to kill those T3 grunts, you know, they're gonna fucking kill us.
Okay. I gotta use the gun? How do I use the gun?
Do you really not know what button to press? Just keep hitting
No.
buttons, triggers, all of them. One of them's gonna make me shoot.
Not this one? Yes, I am. I'm
Come on, just
I'm loving
press
this.
something. It's definitely not that hard to figure out. I'm a gun. Shoot me.
I think that's it. I think.
Do you really not know what button to press? Just keep hitting buttons. Fuck yeah, there we go. Alright, first kill. I am so glad you picked me up. Let's keep going. Alright, heads up, warp base. Not bad, alien. Not bad at all. Let's head to that base.
Head to that base. I think. That's what he means.
Well, here you go. It's a G3 warp base. Okay, let's just clean house and warp out of here. Nice.
Nice, got him.
To kill them, right? It was either them or you, and me as well. And I would prefer to live. You know, and I have a voice here. I have a choice in this.
Huh. There's more up there.
Oh shit! It's a merc. They're tougher. Idiots letting human into the base.
Come on. Is it?
The warp drive should be at the top.
Oh,
That's where it always is in shit like
literally
this. Keep
smacked his
going.
face
Keep
off.
going up to the top.
I'm a turnkey killer.
Can I please get him?
Fuck yeah! Now grab the warp drive, and we'll use this to warp the hell off this doomed planet.
Is this
Sorry,
it?
Ben. I don't mean
Warp?
to say it, but yes, your planet is doomed right now.
Warp thingy.
Okay, listen, don't worry about the beeping. The beeping's fine. It's gonna blow up soon. We just need to plug
What?
this thing into power. Do you have something down at your house? That, you know, do you live in one of these huts around here? Take us there. We gotta move. We gotta move, move, move. Damn it, Claudia. This is my chance. Listen, bring me up close to your face. You can aim better. I'm done waiting.
You cannot take on the aliens all by yourself.
Of course I can.
Oh shit. That one, that one. That, no, those are killing me. No, 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 no. Oh my god, there are so many. Get out. Fuck off. Shit.
That's your hut, right? The one that the weird alien you were with ran off to? We're almost there.
Oh, that's my hut. Not even my home. That's my hut. Come on, come on, come on. Is this not it? Oh, that one.
Oh, thank God you're still alive. I just killed an alien. Look, I got blood in my mouth. I think we're all gonna die.
You got anything in here that emits, I don't know, microwaves? I know it's a lot to ask.
What? Like a fucking microwave? Oh, whoa.
Oh, microwave.
I can understand your gun now.
Translator microbes, they're contagious, but can please just move past all this shit?
Ooh.
So,
Oh, thank God, it worked. Okay, it's just gonna need a second to boot up.
oh my God.
Something broken, I think.
Alien we saw kill Mr. Pilfrey.
The G3 cartel. Don't resist. Any attempts to fight us would be
This is
futile.
crazy.
You are now officially the property of the G3 cartel.
G3 cartel.
Let's get out of here.
Wait, get out of here? Where are we going?
To find somebody who can help. You ever been to the big city? Because you're about to. Except it's Space City. It's a
we
huge
see?
Space City, and you're
No,
gonna
no,
be
no,
out of
no.
your element. And you better just follow my
Oh,
lead.
is it just gonna warp me there? Like warp the whole
Looks
house?
like we made it. Welcome to Blim City.
Did you just warp our entire house to another planet?
Yeah, keep up. We'll be safe here. Now take me outside.
Whoa, whoa, you're just gonna leave me here in what, space? Are we in space? You're going out there into space?
Yeah,
Oh.
welcome to fucking
Oh, it's another city. It's another city.
So this is Blim City. Not bad, huh? I don't know how we're gonna find Gene though. Let's just ask around. There's all kinds of aliens out here. Let's just ask. He is famous.
Let's ask them.
Hey, we're looking for Gene Zaruthian, the bounty hunter. Any idea where he might be?
Who? No. Do you know how many freaking people live here? And you expect me to know this guy? No, of course not.
Okay, not everyone's gonna be helpful.
Can I not shoot him?
Hey, calm down. We don't need to shoot everybody.
I was trying.
Hey, we're looking for Gene Zaruthian. I'm not sure. Maybe you could help?
Oh, I wish I knew where he was. He owes me like 300 pesos.
Huh, that doesn't sound like Gene Zaruthian to me.
Hmm. Maybe that guy knows.
Okay, this isn't going so well, but let's keep asking around. Hello?
Get
Oh.
away. Don't take my shit.
Oh my god. It can't be.
What do you want?
You're not the famous bounty hunter Gene Zaruthian, are you?
Who's asking?
You're really Gene.
Yeah, I'm really.
This
Gene.
is him?
That's me, like on the ads.
Oh.
Disappointed? Guess how I feel.
Okay, well, whoopsies.
Gene
Huh, we were gonna ask for your help finding the G3
Jarutian.
cartel, but-
Okay. Feels like aliens for some.
I just got
Yeah.
evicted. I don't even have a goddamn home.
Can you point us in the direction of, a bounty hunter friend that's still working, still has their legs?
Ho. Look at that nice house.
Hmm.
Goddamn. Where'd that come from? That's a great fucking house. You see that house?
Huh? Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, that's this
Oh, yeah,
hairy
that's my
alien's
house.
The one holding me.
Scared. The hairy aliens house.
Beautiful house. Yeah, okay. The gears are turning. Maybe I can help you.
You can? But you just said...
Yeah. I said I'd help you fight the... Who'd you say? The G3 cartel? Oh, yeah. Oh, come on, that's crazy.
G3.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, sure. We'll kill them all. Easy.
He just wants the house, man.
National bounty
He
system
wants the
right
house.
there.
Really? Well, that's convenient.
Yeah, I can turn that hairy kid of yours into a true blue bounty hunter. But if they die, I want the house. That's the trade.
Are you sure? I don't think they've even fired a gun before today. And wait, you want the house in return?
Yeah, this is a great deal for you. I mean, you get all my old bounty hunter shit, and I might get a house.
I don't know.
Enough talking. Just be a gun for a second. You, hairy kid, put on the suit. See how you feel. Then make a decision, yeah? I can always just pawn this shit off.
Okay, go ahead. Try it on.
Where's
What
the
choice do we
suit?
have?
This suit? It's in the garbage, man. At least it looks good.
Wow, you look great,
Ooh.
kid. Natural. Definitely
Activate
not
the
your
bounty
first
suit.
bounty.
All right, I guess we'll give it a shot, but I don't know about this.
Boot up process. Activation key not found. Give me the key.
Ah, yeah, shit. It's still in trial mode. I pawned off the activation license. The ticket should be in one of your
What?
pockets. Some loose change, too. Should be enough. Take that down to Mr. Keep's pawn shop, and he'll get you all set up. The suit will help you get there.
Hey there, Gene Zaruthian. It's me, Pseudo, your helpful bounty hunting assistant. Before I enable mobility, I just need to make sure your info scanner is online. Can you go ahead and give the area a quick scan for me? Okay, perfect. Great job. I've identified your current objective. Head on down to Mr. Keep's pawn shop. Perfectamundo, everything is in working order. Mobility unlocked. You are free to move, Gene.
I was not even allowed to move.
Get things set up at your house while you're gone.
Oh, fuck, I can shoot him.
Let's just head to Mr. Keeps, I guess.
Genuine
Sorry about
error.
all those pop-ups. I forgot to warn you about that. You can close them with the interact button, but they are gonna keep coming back nonstop. That's just gonna keep happening until you activate the license. Sorry, you better hurry up.
Where was it again?
You able to see okay? Sorry, I didn't expect Gene to be like that.
I'll have to keep closing them. What if I just keep them over here? Keep
I think
since
Mr.
I'm
Keep is just ahead. You got this.
this one? Yeah.
What's up, freak?
Jorb, greet the customer properly.
Welcome to Mr. Keep's dipshit. We're your friendly neighborhood pawn shop. Buy something or don't. Nobody even cares.
Jorb.
He's a pop, I think.
Oh, so old Zaruthian doesn't feel
Malware infecting lots of files.
What?
Mel,
Did he win the sweepstakes? Ha, okay.
Mills in
Look,
your
it's a
area.
license key. But it's really nice. I kind of want it for myself.
You've got enough useless shit.
Fine, take it. It's yours.
Okay, fuck yeah! Activation license accepted. Bounty hunting suit is in perfect working order. One important question. Would you like to keep me on as your permanent in-suit advisor? That
Sure.
was the best choice you could have made. All right, bye-bye now. I'll be back a bunch.
He'll be back a bunch.
Whoa, not bad. It's got your vital readings, armor levels, even my biometrics. Gene really came through,
Ooh.
didn't he? I told you he'd be great.
Perfect. Just what this galaxy needs. Another good-for-nothing bounty hunter. Out of my store.
Discover one location in downtown.
All right, bounty hunter. I guess let's head back to
Lizard,
the house.
lizard,
and check in with
lizard,
Gene.
lizard,
You'll find
lizard,
you'll figure it out.
lizard, 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 lizard.
Hey, you can run, you know. I don't know if you do that. Try hitting the button on your screen. I can't say the name of the button because I have no fucking clue what kind of controller or keyboard you're using.
Huh. Oh, I can run. Meet Gene at your house, okay? Lizards here. Lizards are here. Do I have to keep closing this? We have added you to our complimentary messaging list. Have a nice day. Okay. Oh, this is my house, right?
Huh,
Wait, what?
There's little guys coming out of your house. That okay?
Can't shoot them, apparently. Why is there blood over there?
Hey, nice house you got here. Real ritzy. Way better than my bench.
Oh wow, you really made yourself at home, huh?
Oh, there you are. Who's this weirdo, and why is he setting up a fucking huge alien computer in our living room?
Okay, first of all, that alien computer is a
Is
very
a workbench?
expensive and surprisingly operational Bounty 5000. So, you
What, 5,000?
Your kid here thinks they're gonna be a big bad bounty hunter. I set them up with some fancy equipment, so they're letting me have the house when they die.
Kid? They're not my kid. I'm their sister. How old do you think I am?
Listen, Hairball, I don't know what kind of
27? I don't know.
I'm just making my best guesses here.
You were only gone 5 minutes, and you already told some random alien he could move in with us.
Yes.
That's what you did.
Look, I know it's
Yes.
a lot all at once, but we need him to save your species. So, do you think you could put up with him for a bit?
Well, yeah, if it's gonna help, sure. I'm sorry, everything I've ever known just got flipped upside down, so I don't know what's weird or not anymore.
I don't like getting up to take shit, so I'm just gonna shit right here in the couch later.
Wait, what?
I don't have to shit right now, but just a heads up.
Like that. Was that weird or was that normal? It was weird, right? It was weird.
Your mom's nice. Anyway.
Your mom's
to me, we
nice.
need to get down to business.
Your mom's nice, man. Damn. Talk to Gene.
So what? We just jump into the deep end and start hunting down G3 officers?
This
or
is
what?
funny. It is, it is, it is.
Ready just yet. I mean, they don't let you fuck the glumpers at Glumpies without a level 4 fuck pass, do they?
What? I don't know.
Well, they don't. Maybe I should send you out on a little test run first, eh?
Okay, sure.
Test run for what?
Just
Wait.
the thing. A small-time local gangster by the name of Nine Torg. She took my favorite knife. She's got an operation out in the slums. Maybe you kill her and get my knife back. Then we'll talk. Maybe take you out to Glumpies to celebrate.
All right, so we just head out to the slums?
No, moron. You gotta use the Bounty 5000 to initiate a bounty. That's what I went through all the trouble of setting it up for.
Okay, Jesus.
Bounty. Nine Torg. Blim City. Torg family matriarch. Commends a small-time crime family who claims the Blim City slums as their turf. Constantly stuck in a power struggle with her own clones. Don't underestimate her. Okay. Portal failed.
Normally that door would open up a gateway that lets you walk right through it.
So what do we do?
Calm down. The bounty's right here in Blim. You mind just heading out on foot? The slums gateway ain't too far from here. I'll get the bounty 5,000 fixed up while you're gone.
Yeah, sure. All right, let's go, bounty hunter.
I'll just have to go.
To get my knife. We're looking for the gateway to the slums, I guess. Look, it shouldn't be too far. Listen, just follow the waypoint. That's why you're wearing that fancy suit, isn't it? I mean, it's got the augmented reality thing on it, right?
Hello, citizens.
Ah.
I'm Blim City Magistrate Clug Nugman, and I have heard your concerns.
This way? Yeah, from here, that way. It says that way, I think. Is this the gateway?
Hey, don't even think about going down to the slums.
This is excuse me, can we get our, we need to make our way into the slums, please?
No.
Hold on. So
Hmm.
you want to get into the slums, huh?
Yes.
Settle a bet for us.
Come on, don't make him answer this,
No,
man.
I want to know.
It's fine, we'll help.
Okay, great. If you saw us at the bar, which of us would you ask out?
Which one would we ask out? I'll say the red one.
Red guy.
Whoa, seriously?
Okay, come on. You don't gotta say that just to make him feel better. He's a big boy. He can take it if you think he's way uglier than
No,
me.
they said me. They picked me, dude. They picked me, not you. They picked me. They said I was hotter, not you.
Well, it's true. Look at you. I'm not a liar, man. I never lied in my life. I look at you and I see filth.
No, well, that's not what they said. They said they picked me. They said I was hotter.
I picked him, but I chose him only because I like red.
Listen, we're not switching around here. We picked the red guy. That's the direction we're moving in.
Thank you, thank God, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I really thought you were gonna flake on me. Thank you.
Nah, fuck you. Change your mind right now. Pick me instead. This is insane. I am so much hotter.
You need to chill out. All right, they picked me, and that's final. That's a final pick.
I think they're gonna crash out.
Just let me have this one time, man. Hey, thanks for being honest. Look, don't tell anyone, but you can go through my door anytime you want from now on.
Oh, let's go.
Free passage in and out of the slums.
Wow, thank you. You have no idea how helpful that is.
Well, my door's locked forever. You made it empty today. You're never ever gonna get to use my door.
Well, you know what? That's fine because we have this other door that works just as well.
Discover 3 locations
I
in
think
the
we handled that
downtown.
as best we could, you know.
Oh. If I do this.
I've never been topside.
Oh Lord.
Oh.
Oh, it's a topsider.
Not interested.
Hey, oh my god, I broke my fucking leg coming down that pipe. Be careful.
Sorry to hear that.
Look what we got here. Fresh meat. Hey there, fresh meat. Welcome to the slums, fresh meat.
Do I have to kill him?
Oh boy, here we go. Fucking kid.
What's wrong, fresh meat? You scared of a little kid? Yeah, I'm a little kid. Look at me. Look at me. You're scared of me? Oh, I'm scary. Not. Well, maybe I am.
Whoa, what are you doing? Come on, he's just a kid. Don't shoot him.
Oh, you don't want to shoot me just because your gun said not to. Just because you're your little gun. Oh, look how shootable I look. I look so shootable.
I am not shooting a kid.
Go ahead. Do it. Shoot me, fresh meat. Shoot me. See
What if I shoot him?
Don't I look so shootable? Look at me. You can shoot me anywhere you want. Shoot me. Come. You shot me. I'm dead.
All right, there. Are you happy now? Wow.
Yes.
I didn't think we'd be allowed to
I
do
am
that.
happy.
Normally, killing children in games isn't allowed, but he's dead. We killed it. Ah, shit. We gotta take down these drones.
Give me it. Pure shield pickup. Your bounty suit will automatically regenerate your vitals after being damaged. Pickups can be dropped by enemies and will give your suit some bonus protection on top of your normal health. Okay. Let's go. Difficulty level can be changed in the pause menu. Okay.
So
What's
it finally happened. Someone killed my son.
Your son?
The kid up there who always calls everyone fresh meat.
We are so sorry. Listen, don't get used to that. We're not killing any more kids. I'm drawing the line.
Uh-huh.
So savor it. Enjoy it. It happened. Tuck it away in the old memory book.
No, it's fine. He was 30 years old, so don't feel too bad. 30 years
He was 30?
adolescence for our species, but it's not as bad as shooting like a 5-year-old or something. So don't worry. You just did regular murder. And I warned him over and over. I said, don't sit up there calling strangers fresh meat, or some gun-toting psychopath is gonna shoot you dead.
Gun talking psych.
You went and did it. That's you. Anyway, please, just leave me to mourn.
Jesus.
Oh, she started crying.
I'll miss him a little bit. I'll miss him a very small amount.
Hey, you can't pass through here. It's Nine Torg's turf.
Jesus, enough with everyone getting in our way. We just want to kill Nine Torg.
Yeah, right. You kill Nine Torg? Get lost, shithead. Hey, what the fuck? Holy shit, you just killed Jason.
Oh shit, here we go. We're gonna have to kill some of these Torg foot soldiers to prove ourselves around here. These people think we're weak. Not on my watch.
What are you, some kind of bounty hunter? The slums are full, asshole. Yeah, this is Nine Torg's turf. The coolest turf.
Shit, they're shooting at us. Come on, shoot back. Come on, shoot back.
It's gonna be so
Where's more of them?
Nine Torg trained
There's
us
more?
real good. We're the toughest enemies in the game, I think.
Huh. I think they know it's a game.
Stepped on your ass.
Just let us kill you.
We gotta be nearing the end, right?
You're stronger than we thought. This is bad.
Oh my god, there's people behind me.
You just got squashed.
Come on. Run, 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 run. Oh, there he is.
Wow, all right. We got them all. Usually these Torgs aren't so hostile. Something must be going on. Let's look around for somebody who can help us.
Oh, there? Okay.
I'm so lonely over here. I got all this great information I could. Hello there, friend.
I got this great information. Yeah. Do you know?
Buddy, all I know is fish, and I barely know fish. But let's just pretend there's a laundromat you can sneak through to get to Sludgeworks over there.
Are we pretending, or is it really a laundromat?
Come on, kid, take the hint. Either we're pretending, or Nine Torg's goons kill me for squealing.
Oh, okay, I got it. We're pretending.
We're pretending.
Christ, just
We're pretending.
Sludge.
So, what exactly are you doing out here?
What? I'm fishing. You can tell I'm fishing, right?
Oh, right. Duh.
He has no rope,
It's very
though.
obvious, yes. So, have you caught anything?
No, never have.
There's no rope, though.
Fish can live down here in this sludge.
If there aren't any fish in there, why are you fishing? What is that? What's going on?
Because
There's no
I'm
rope.
working up the courage to drown myself.
Yikes! Wow. Okay. TMI maybe a little bit. You're a wise old fisherman. Can you tell us a little bit about Nine Torg?
Quiet. She's got ears everywhere. Or antennae. Whatever ants here with.
Is she really that dangerous? Come on. I mean, she's just one gang lord.
Just one? What about the other 8 Torgs?
Wait, so the 9
There's
Torg
8?
it's a counter? There's 9 Torgs?
More?
9 clones, yep. And
Oh.
that's just what's left. There used to be even more of them, but they always kill each other. Fighting for dominance over what? This hellhole? This month, 9 Torgs in charge. Last month, it was 14 Torg before they killed her. Now 9
I'm
Torgs
lost.
fighting with 5 Torg. It never ends.
Same here, man.
8 Torg is the hottest.
Bro said 8 Torg is a horse.
So, how do you like living down here in the slums? It's sort of colorful down here, at least.
What? Are you serious?
Not even
Worst places anyone can
second.
live. You can't see that just
Yeah.
by looking at it. It's more sludge than anything else, and the sludge is toxic.
Oof, sorry. Yeah, that sludge does look pretty awful.
No, the sludge is the best part. It's the quickest way out.
Sludge is the
Hop
best.
in there and you got a one-way ticket out of here. Imagine if we didn't have the sludge. Then we'd really be trapped. Anyway, yeah, living here is bad.
Hey, thanks for the info, wise fisherman. We'll see you later.
Have a good day now.
Phone ran out of battery while I was packing. We're going in 3 hours. Let's go. Have a safe journey, man. Also, welcome, man. He said the laundromat, right? Where is the laundromat? It's over here?
Oh, hey, you want to see a cool party trick I used to do? Aim me at those platforms. Come on, give it a shot. It'll...
What platforms? Huh? Oh. 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 Oh my god. Game. Thank you, Maxi. Wait. On Jenny's fire Kenny's globe shot at platforms with green goop on them. Ah.
I told you. Did you see how fun that was? I call it my glob shot. It comes out of my trick hole. All Gatlians have a different kind of trick hole. Mine does this. Yes! Yes! Oh my god, I could do this all day. Doesn't this fucking rule? God, I love spewing big gloopy glow.
Globe shot. Let's go. I got a globe shot, man.
Hold up, don't shoot. I got an idea. It's another trick up my little slimy sleeve. Try hitting him with my glob shot. And aim right. Whoa, perfect shot! You fucking nailed it! How sick was that? Whew, okay. It doesn't take too long, but it's a little longer when there's enemies nearby, you know? My body gets too tense. It's like trying to piss when someone's watching, you know?
It's like trying to piss when someone's watching.
Oh shit, here come more guys. Use my glove shot and then just shoot them in the air and juggle them, and it's gonna look sick, I promise.
Oh, I don't have a glove shot.
Takes a little longer to recharge when we're in combat. My body's all tense during a fight, you know? It's like my muscles aren't loose. It just is, it takes longer to recharge. And now, juggle them. Keep shooting them while they're in the air. You can juggle them, and it does more damage, and it looks cool too.
It does look cool, but I don't think it works better though.
Here comes more.
Where?
Fuck yeah! Oh, fuck yeah! You see initiative? You see how cool this is? Get fucked, Dance! You just got juggled! That's exactly what I was afraid.
You just got juggled. By the way, that fixed my game I'm installing, but the thing is my PC isn't good enough to even launch the game apparently. Oh, GG's.
I feel like we might just be like really weak enemies, like just the ones they put at the beginning for like. Please don't kill me, please.
Looks like he
Oh.
was die clean only. Alright, this has to be the way to 9 Torg. Let's keep moving.
What is this? What is this?
I want to tear through someone's guts.
Oh, I think they're talking about Gene's knife.
Fuck you.
Oh.
Freak. We've had enough of your bullshit.
Yeah, it's your fault Stevulax is dead. I was in love with him. Did you know that? I loved him, and now his head's cut off.
Just the way it should be. Fuck him.
Hey, guess what? I have another secret trick you can use. The power of negotiation. Let's try reasoning with these guys. Knock on the door. Tell me how you want to play this.
Fuck you in.
Okay, we're gonna.
Fucking cunts. When I'm loose. Oh, you're not gonna want to see what kind of.
He has power of negotiation.
Who are you?
Hey, hello there, friends.
Oh, I think it's the buyer.
Hey, are you the buyer?
I'm your lover, Sulax, back from the dead.
Yeah, we're here to buy a knife. You guys are selling a knife, yeah?
Oh, perfect. You're really late. We were starting to get worried.
Just go with it. No shooting.
All right, here's the product. A genuine talking knife. I gotta be honest with you. He's a real piece of shit.
He's extremely violent. He basically only talks about wanting to kill people in very disturbing ways.
Fuck you. I'm gonna carve out your anal cavity. Gonna make it 3 times as big. Your shit's just gonna drop right out of there.
See what I'm talking about?
Oh, perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, great. Go ahead. Feel free to inspect it.
Oh, fuck yes. Thank you. Please do
Fuck you.
I'm knifey. Now use me. Let me fucking stop these cocksucking hands.
Oh, just a reminder, don't do anything crazy when you're holding the knife. Just like look at it, see if you like it, put it back. Yeah, thank you.
RS, right? Ready, set, go.
Oh, fuck yes. Finally. You have no idea how long I've been thinking about
You
this.
killed the love of my life.
Stabbed.
Oh, yes. Fuck yes.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Listen, point me at your raw, fleshy little tummy and jump me right into there. Let's get all those
Let's
guts
go.
torn up. Let's see that fucking red goop spill out. I can't stop now.
Oh, that's a pass for us. Is this really the knife you was talking about?
Gene? Did you just say Gene? Okay, change of plans. Bring me to Gene so I can fucking decapitate him.
Wait, what? Why? He sent us to rescue you.
Oh, that's rich. There's no way I'm forgiving him, though, for leaving me with that fucking Nine-Torg. He's dead to me.
Huh? You know Nine-Torg? We're trying to kill her.
Oh, perfect. Finally, we're on the same page. Let's kill Nine-Torg, then...
Let's go. We're killing.
Nine-Torg, but let's put a pin in the whole Gene thing. How do we get out of here?
With my tether ability. I'm more than just a knife, you racist. I can tether too. And latch on.
I'm more than just a knife, you racist.
Cool, right? You gotta use me to swing across this sludge.
Oh yeah, calling me Maxis. See that
What are
time.
you doing? Didn't you hear me? I'll help you swing off that bug.
How do I do it? Oh.
Fuck yeah! Not as good as stabbing, but still pretty good.
Well, all right. Where to next?
The Sludge Works processing plant. Nine-Torg was talking about some traitor she had to deal with. Probably another one of her clones. 5-Torg or 6-Torg or whatever. I don't know. There's too many.
5
now.
dogs,
There's
6
too many
dogs.
Torgs. How many
Thank you for the
Drink
hydrate.
water. Become moist.
Oi, let's go.
Excuse me. I can open those fuckers up real good. And there's loot inside for you too. Win-win. Yes.
Oh, these ones.
That felt good.
So you mentioned Gene gave you to Nine-Torg?
Cave?
Uh,
Try gamble me away in a game of space.
Thank you for the hydrate, Maxi. Can I tell you?
Stab all 3 of his fucking eyes. Even the wonky one. Especially the wonky one. Hate that one.
Is that not it?
Knifey can help.
Drink water, sir.
Hi. I just did, no?
Gene, didn't he used to be a hero?
Yeah, used to be. Hard to tell these days, right? Towards the end, the only thing I was cutting for him was sandwiches. Not even the good ones. Peanut butter sandwiches. And no fucking jelly. Not even like ham or anything good.
Is it this?
We have Knifey, let's use him.
Do I jump?
Well, what's this Nine-Torg character's deal anyway?
She's the current matriarch of the Torg family. I say current because they're
Gotta
always
save
killing
money
each
for
other
graphic
the
cards
top
for now.
spot. You know how it is with clones.
Oh, this, club shot. Hmm. Reload. Now we run and jump again. Oh shit! Got him.
Some Gatterall. That'll fill me back up. Come on, what are you waiting for? Grab. Oh, thank Jesus. Okay, feed me that Gatterall, baby. Come on, put it in my little mouth. Feed me the Gatterall. What's wrong with you? Don't you know how? Well,
I don't wanna. I don't wanna. I don't wanna.
I have Mamma mia, that's the stuff.
Mamma mia. Oh my god, it is actually so funny. Get to Sludgeworks. Whee! Whee!
Nine Torch should be here. Great! Juggle that fucker! Juggle him! Damn, that was... Just try again. Just try it one more time.
Oh, shit. No, 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 no. Come here, come here.
We're unstoppable. Is this bloodlust? Am I feeling bloodlust right now?
Oh, yeah, mate. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, shit, 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 shit.
Oh, man, I guess I am. Nine Torg must be close. Let's ride this wave and kill her, too. Hey, where'd you go?
Now I gotta die.
Oh no, that's gonna shoot at me. Ooh, damn, damn, damn. Knife him.
Guess the party isn't over yet.
No blood? Oh, what a fucking rip.
Oh. I think there's more that side. Let's get this.
I don't care, I just want to stab it.
Get fucked!
Oh shit.
That's tugging on my nerve endings.
Come back.
Oh, from here. Is there anything over here? Maybe. No, nothing. Let me place this to now. Okay. Oh, these things. Shit.
Let's fight this way. Come on, kill.
Kill, yes, yes, kill, murder.
Hey, can you come back? Okay, you know
Ooh.
what? No, we're all gonna die. Not sure why.
Get 5 milli kills.
Let's just keep going until we all get killed. This is it. I'm gone.
He's gone. Oh, he's stuck. Come on. Where did you go? I don't know. Where did I go? Oh, I'll be here in the shadows. Okay, ghost striking. Thank you for the luck. I appreciate it, man.
Whew, okay. I'm not sure what came over me there. I think I got caught up in the moment or something. But hey, good work, team. Let's go get 9 Torg.
Where though? Over here. Let's go.
Any last words, Spot Torg?
Is that 9 Torg talking?
Fuck off! I've always said you were the worst Torg. You know, 7 Torg said the same thing right before I killed her. Damn you! And you're next.
You got this.
Oh, it's a boss fight. When is my smart coming back? I don't know.
Come on, admit it. We're hurting you.
No! Fuck you!
Wow, we're actually hitting her.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Close range doesn't work. Close range doesn't work.
Jesus, it's so gross you even went in there.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so stop diving into it.
Oh, I have to jump.
Stay in the air.
Better not fall in.
Hey, I'm still here. You can still use me if you want. I can deflect attacks. Did you know that? I'm not just all about stabbing. Well, I'm mostly all about stabbing and tethering, but I can also deflect attacks.
Oh, he can deflect attacks. Okay.
I'll cut their fucking heads off. I'll rip their limbs. I'll fucking do everything. I'm gonna fucking cut right into them. I'll cut their fucking asshole off and eat it.
Oh, save somehow. Wait, what? How do I do this? Oh, that's how. Shit. If this keeps happening, I might be dead soon. She gone down?
Would you just die already?
Incoming laser.
Got her, got her, got her. Oh shit.
Wow, we're having our first real boss fight together.
No shit.
Here we go.
I'm the strongest out of all the Torg clones. I'm impressed you made it this far. My ex-soldiers are extremely strong.
Honestly, I don't think they were. We're new at this, and it was pretty easy to kill them all.
Did someone order a laser?
Take that!
Come on.
In a painful way.
Come on.
Take that! Take that! You know how much I hate you? This much!
Oh, 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 oh. Take that. Come on. Go down, go down, go down. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go.
Vertical or horizontal?
Shit.
What's it gonna be? Jump or a sidestep? If I'm going
Die, 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 die.
With me! Just stay alive. I think she's basically done for.
Oh shit. I don't know what's happening. Oh shit.
Hey, nice work killing 9torg. Thanks. Wow, we killed a bounty. How do you feel, bounty hunter? I feel pretty good. I really didn't know if we'd be able to pull it off.
All right, it's time.
Time for what?
Time to carve out a piece of her. I'm thinking we go with a full slab of thigh meat, but since it's your first, I'll let you pick.
Jesus, are you kidding?
What kind of bounty hunters don't know that you've got to bring back proof of the kill to get paid?
Oh God.
Don't be
It's
such a goddamn
team
baby.
kills and
I'll
like
do all the messy work.
in
Just go
gun
up
race.
to a corpse and let
Good
me
job.
go wild.
Oh God, I can't look. I can't.
First kill. Ah. Oh shit.
Couldn't we have just taken like a fingernail, some spit, maybe a blood sample?
Ah.
Yeah, sure. Could have, I guess.
Hey, I'm 5torg. Thank you for killing my evil clone. I don't mind if you mutilate her corpse, really. It's fine. You did such a good job. That was like off the hook.
You're not gonna take over and end up being just as evil as 9torg, right?
Oh, don't worry. Things are gonna. Well, hey, what are you doing?
Are you gonna be okay if we just kind of leave you hanging up there?
Oh, yeah, I can get down just fine. Hanging from ropes feels nice.
What if I kill her?
Hey, it's good for our backs. I'm actually the one who put myself here. I can't feel that, you know. Fuck! Cut it out! You
I'll kill her as well.
Trust me, they're still a literal child.
What if I kill her?
Come on, that hurt. That's right. The numbers denote how old we are, not the order we were cloned, duh. But we grew up really fast. I'm 5 years old, but that's like adulthood for our species. And 9torg was
Important.
basically an old crone.
Wait. I'm gonna kill her.
Nice. We killed another boss. I think like a bonus secret boss. Good work.
Was that a secret boss? I don't know. Oh shit.
Like this or at all.
How do I get out?
All right, let's go home and turn in our first bounty. Hey, you know that was some pretty solid bounty hunting back there. I mean, don't get too cocky about it or anything, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, not bad. That was some good killing. And I'm somewhat of a killing expert, actually.
I can't wait to see Gene's face when he sees we pulled this off. Let's head back up through the slums tunnel.
Hey, you thought you beat all the torch?
I don't know why that guy even bothered attacking us. I almost feel bad.
We gotta exit. Can I exit from here? Yes, I can. Return home, go up. You like this game? Yeah, it is fun. Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, what does she want? Gene hooked me up with this messenger thingy. Okay. I see. Oh, I can go back like this. He says you're dead, but he's full of shit. Are you still fucking around out there? Can you try to find some food humans can eat? Sure.
Oh, you're back. Hey, yeah, my leg's still very broken.
I can change how much the weapons talk outside the main game. Gotta get out of here. I wish there was like a zip line around there that I can take.
Hey, fuck you! I'm still pissed at you! Hey, I hope you had a good time in the slums. Come visit any time.
Just don't talk to me.
Check the hunter farms in the pause menu for combat tips. Extra pesos and more posts. Okay. Now I just need to go back. And I think that's the first like mission or chapter. We got our first bounty at least. Okay, are you alive? Yes. Oh, you open up.
Huh, why is the door closed?
delivery?
What? No, it's us.
Oh, shit. Really? Good job. Oh, hold on.
Is that Gene? Okay, get ready. I want you to stab me right into his fat little belly.
Okay. Opening it.
What the hell, Gene?
He installed new locks because he assumed you get killed. He keeps saying it's his house now.
What? No. I just took the liberty of upgrading your security. Did you really kill Nine Torg, though?
Yeah, we actually did.
Well.
We killed 5 Torg as well, though.
I'm really blown away. I'll be honest with you. I expected you to die.
Oh, thank you.
So, what did it feel like, killing Nine Torg?
Look, I gotta be honest, it felt good. It felt great. I mean...
Hey, Gene, lift up that shirt and expose your soft little belly for me. I'm coming in hot.
Lazy potato.
Forgot how psycho he was. Why don't you just, hold on to him for now?
Oh, sure, yeah, we'll keep him far away from you.
Yeah, thanks. Now, go turn in your bounty at the Bounty 5000.
Oh, we can use this now. Tell me what to do. I don't know. Turn in bounty.
Well, there you go. You're a real bounty hunter now.
Huh, would you look at that? I guess we're really doing it.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to get your footing so quick. I don't even have any leads on any G3 bounties. You're, serious about going after them, huh?
You bet.
Give me a few minutes, Maxi.
Including Garmantuous.
Well, you're welcome.
Garmantuous?
If you do, you might want to go to the pawn shop and buy back the Dodge unit I pawned off. Forgot to tell you about it. Go scrounge up some pesos and buy that, or whatever else tickles your fancy. I'll have some G3 bounties ready for you by the time you get back.
Sure, sounds good. Thanks, Gene. Just maybe next time don't assume we're just gonna die.
Right. Got it.
Famous movies of all time on Earth. Grab the blobcorn and settle in for the fright of your life.
You
Grab the
need that Dodge unit
popcorn.
from the pawn shop. The suit's not really complete without it.
Okay. Just need to get the Dodge unit and then I think I'll be done. Over there.
Hey, Gene said you might have the old Dodge unit that goes with this bounty suit.
Oh yeah, we got that. Why? You want it? I want it too. So it'll cost you.
Yeah, no, we
How much? How do I buy it? How do I buy stuff? Painting, no. He said the Dodge unit, right? Clinton scooter. Robot arm broken. Where is the Dodge unit? Let's see. Dodge unit, 1,000 pesos. Damn.
All right, there you go. One Dodge unit. Have a nice life.
All right, we got it. Let's try
And
this
what's that? There's, I think, something more. Slide bash unit. Health tank. Health tank. And health tank.
Oh, you bought something. I guess you think you're a hot shot now.
It needs fuel as well, okay, so I can only do 3 dodges, I think. Yeah, 3 dodges. Either in air or in, like, on ground. Please come back and shop again at Mr. Keeps. Sure. Let's see. Get in. Do you not like this game, Maxi? Is it not fun for you?
Okay, great. You got the Dodge unit. So how about it? Think you're ready for the big leagues, kid?
What do you mean?
The big league. The G3 cartel. That's
G3
the next
cartel?
step, taking down their head officers.
Okay, you're positive that we're ready for that?
Yeah, whatever. Might as well try. But they won't be pushovers like Nine Torg, so, well, to be honest, I don't care if you live or die. You know that. You know my whole deal. But, hey, it's your funeral. So go check out the Bounty 5000 whenever you're ready. Got 2 G3 leads for you right now. Krubus and Douglas. You can pick which one you want to let kill you first.
I think we should stop for now then. Because it will lead to the next G3 bounties, right? So we can stop this for tonight. Quit game, confirm. Yes. Okay. Do you still have the Game Pass, by the way? Xbox Game Pass, or did you refund it? Actually, no, I refunded it. Oh. Let's see. Games on Steam then. What to do? What to do? Wi-Fi there is good, so I buy cloud gaming too. Oh, I see, I see. I found a new game as well. It's called Chivalry 2. It's basically a fighting game that you basically control a third person. It's a FPS and a medieval fighting game, I think. If the Wi-Fi is good there, then I buy it again for remote play. Okay. And my request one is not working again. Bro, I don't know why it's not working. Things just don't want to work today, man. Let's see. Library. Not just these. Sneak out. We can play sneak out. But it's just gonna be the 2 of us. Stitchlings I've already completed with love. Hop on CS2. Escape Backrooms, it's 3 and 5 and I think it's a peak Backrooms game. Or play together and it's actually fun. Sure, CS2? Yeah, CS2, let's go. Counter-Strike updating. Steamworks is updating basically. Come VC? Sure. Hello.
Your mic
Hi.
doesn't work on Discord. Oh, now.
Hello.
Hi. Which maps do you want?
Dust only, I think. Dust and maybe Mirage. I don't mind Mirage. I don't know the rest.
Okay.
Wait, I might know Inferno, I think. But I don't want to play Inferno.
Okay.
Alright. Okay, you need Anubis and you need to win 18 rounds.
Wait. You host a lobby because like otherwise you will have like bad Wi-Fi. Cause we're gonna be in like Germany ping, and I don't mind if I have like bad ping. I'm used to it, so at least you will have bad ping because you might be not used to that.
I see.
Yo, why are you choosing Anubis instead of Mirage?
Because the mission is to win 18 rounds in Anubis. I want to complete that. What's the use? I would have to buy the key. Yeah. How much does a key go for?
290 for euros and wait. $242 INR apparently. No. Yeah, I think 240 INR or something.
I see.
If it's actually correct, if it says it, I don't know. Isn't escape the backrooms? No, escape backrooms with friends or something. No.
No idea.
It's not. Cause like cause it's like daily sale. It's like a peak game. This
Oh
backrooms
shit.
game. Wait. Let me find. I can't find it. Wait. Escape backrooms together for 680 euros per year back. Okay.
Okay. I wonder how long it's gonna take just to find the servers, man. It is actually difficult when we both play together. The servers take so long.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Cause like the thing is, look, so Forza, I tried to play it on my PC, but like I kept running into like graphics error, cause my integrated graphics aren't supported apparently, but like I meet the minimum requirements, but like when I launch it, it just tells me I don't meet it.
Do you not have a specific graphic card? Like, were you running it on integrated one?
Yes, I'm always running on integrated. I don't have an actual GPU.
You dumb fuck.
Why?
Do you know how much graphic, like GPU power the game need?
What the fuck do you want from me? Forza 5 runs perfectly. Cyberpunk 277 or something works like
Oh my
60
god.
FPS to 720p. Like I don't fucking know what's wrong with Forza there, but like otherwise
Okay.
it works perfectly.
Wait. Stop deep throating your mouse, man. Mouse, I'm not the mouse, mic.
I'm gonna eat my mic. You want me to eat my mic?
No. Forza 5 it's 5 years old, man.
Cyberpunk 2077 has like a bit higher minimum specs than Forza 6, and I still can play with freaking 60 FPS. and
You
Forza
can?
doesn't work, even if Cyberpunk is a higher demanding game than Forza 6. So like that's the thing. I don't know. Like I actually gotta get a graphics card, dude, which I don't have money right now. Cause I
I
should
see.
get money, cause I get barely money, cause I'm not a full, cause I don't have a full job. It's like a side job.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm training for the job right now. I barely get money.
I
Like I
see.
can
I see.
buy around like I can buy a fuel for like 3 days or something if I would drive like every hour.
Mm-hmm. How long is this gonna take, man? I
Oh,
feel like
ages.
we're gonna need a lot of time just to get the lobbies.
Yeah, maybe. I could even use this time to go freaking shower because I gotta go soon. So I don't stink in the shower like all no, so I don't stink in the car.
Stinky. You stinky.
Me stinky? No, I would never.
Yeah, you are.
Me? No, I would never, dude.
You are. Accept, 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 accept.
Yes.
Let's go. Finally. Please. Please give us the players. Please.
If this doesn't work, then I might actually just go shower real quick, okay?
Bro, I'm gonna fuck you up. You made me quit my game. Oh my god.
Yeah, let me just go shower then, dude.
Oh my god.
See you in a few, okay?
Fuck you. Solo. Solo lobbies in. Let's go. Hopefully solo I get rounds faster. Hopefully. Cheap option for cash trap players. What does it want? Why is there Safari print, thermal currents? Oh, does this mean they're for like counter terrorists and this one's for both? I think that's what it means. Blaze, how is CS2 going? Maxi made me quit my game because he was getting bored. And now he's gone to shower. And I have to play CS2 alone. What can you do, man? I haven't found a single game yet. I blame Maxi. Maybe see I can keep you company. Sure. Is my Discord even working? Up in the general VC. Give me the game. It's been 2 minutes. Over 2 minutes. It's gonna be 3 minutes soon. Give me one game.
Yo, Blaze.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Ghost King. How are you?
Hello, friend. I'm doing good.
I forgot it was day 4 today.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, give me a game. How long is it gonna take? Give me one game.
Just like
Doesn't-
CS doesn't want to give you any game.
Should I hit restart? Maybe. Oh, leave lobby. Wait, was I in a lobby with Maxi? I might have been. Maybe that's why it was taking so long.
Yeah.
Could be. It could be. It could be the reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Audio.
CS gotta be fucking with me.
Why? What happened?
I'm trying to log on, but it ain't fucking working.
You wanna know something?
Yeah.
I went down in follower count. I went down by 3. I was about to reach 340. I went back to 334. Come on, give me a game. Give me one game. Please.
This fucking sucks.
Oh my god. Please give me one game.
If I would beat the game, I would give you a game right fucking now. But the game ain't. Yeah. I'll be right back.
Okay, take your time.
Dinner's ready.
Let's
I'll be back
go.
in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
See you in a little bit.
It says only 5 compatible players are searching in United Arab Emirates. Why am I in UAE? What the fuck? Finally. I got a game in UAE, not even in India. I'm playing with people from UAE. Hey! Wait. We found 10 people, but only, I think, 3 of the other team joined. Starting as terrorists. Nice. We'll start as terrorists and move up to counter-terrorists. Round 1.
You're
Let's
mid
go.
game.
Yeah.
I feel so good after this shower.
Fuck you. Fuck you, bitch.
Huh? What did I do now?
Left me alone.
Bro, I needed to. I'm sorry. What do you want?
I got the game at least. I got a game. What's happening with those guys?
Not
I think
that funny anymore.
One of the teammates, I think, left or disconnected. I don't know what happened, but something happened with them. I got someone in my team called Hentai Lover.
14. Hentai not good. Hentai is very shit. Who love hentai is not good, guys. Wait. I'm gonna call someone real quick.
Sure. Backstab. Hey, I got his desert eagle. Let's go. I like his gun, man. Oh my god. Fuck. I believe in Hentai Lover. He got this. I believe. Oh, Anti-Lava died. Indominacy, I think. That's what his name says. I don't know. I could be really wrong about that, but I think that's what it is. Domi Nusoi. Shit. Bro, I don't want to die with an AK. Oh shit, damn.
Yo.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, Blaze.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Everyone in my team died, man. Oh, nice.
Seems like you're the only one left.
Nope. Someone else was left. Agent 47.
Shit.
I died as well. I think I died first, man. I was the first one to die. The one thing you can trust me to do is die first. Shit. Oh, got one. Rotate, rotate. Oh shit, no! No, 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 no.
Damn.
Almost had one of them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Okapi guy. Let's go MVP.
Oh shit.
All I need are 2 stuns.
The only thing I need is 5 more glasses.
Let's go. Time to get 5 more glasses, man. Let's go. You got this. You can do it.
Oh, Dante makes up the most random shit I've never known to man.
Oh, my god. There was one behind me. Oh, did I? Bro, I got killed by my teammate. Half my health was taken down my own teammate. What the fuck? Hmm.
Shit. Okay. Now it's time to round 2.
Bro, my teammate killed me last match.
Yeah. Get it. Well,
Whole team's dead.
this is bad.
Oh my god.
Shit. Well.
They're playing alone. Oh wait, no, I was playing alone. I was the one who went alone.
Yeah, you played along all the time.
I got hit by my teammate's grenade again.
I'm round 19 now. So 4 more times standing up the glass, then I'll be clarified as drunk.
Drink, 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 drink.
Well, do. Flashbang.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
I got my revenge kill.
Where the fuck that blade hole at?
No, someone else go in. I don't want to go in.
Every time you heard that noise, I'm glass down.
Mm-hmm. Gotta get out.
Oh, it's also taking time to
Round
activate.
one. Hello, the Master Chief
Yo.
Collection. Bro, my mouse is changing my guns on its own. Cause my scroll is fucked.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh fuck. I got lost.
You got lost in the smoke.
Yep. Ah shit, someone killed me from back. One backstab, one backstab.
Yeah.
I told them one backstab. And we lost. Can I even win like 18 rounds in one match?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Damn.
Oh, damn. Fuck.
Shit.
This not CS2. Is it not?
This is.
Hi Akaru. You wanna play? You wanna hop on?
Kudu, are you really sure about that?
And you playing without inviting me? I thought you were playing with love, no? I thought you were with love. What was the game again? Bronze Beard Tavern, I think. That's the name. Pretty sure we stopped before you stream. I didn't check, man. My bad. Wait, did someone go from our
Okay.
team?
I don't know.
Do you wanna hop on after this game? Do you wanna play? You wanna hop on, Akaru? Hold up, I'm downloading the game. Let's go. Not gonna lie, I was playing something else, but then Maxi told me he was bored and wanted to play something else. So I hopped on CS2 and now he's gone. Is he in the VC by chance? Is he?
Soon I'm gonna blow the whistle again.
Bro, I can't get my Teams thingy to work.
I go boom.
Hello.
I
My Steam overlay is not working, man.
Overlay?
Yeah.
Wanna know what?
What?
My friend just gave me what is it called? A skin.
Mm-hmm.
I
For?
got a skin
For which gun?
for free.
No, for which gun though?
MP7. MP7.
MP7. Let's go. Nice. Which one was MP7 again?
Oh my gosh. Bro, you actually scared me, dude.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I blow the whistle every time I take a shot.
Thank you for the head pads.
Drink water. Become moist.
Blaze, hydrate.
I will. Give me a sec.
Let him lock in. Yeah, we gotta sing him a song so like he will be locked in, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, no, stop. Actually, it would just go boom.
Ah.
What the hell is Steam Replay?
I don't know.
Oh, now I know what this is.
Shit.
Wait, what? Oh, let's go! Blind shot, let's go!
Let's go!
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's go!
He was on the lines, man.
Yeah. I literally saw that.
Hashtag report fuck you.
I'm watching the stream and being VC at the same time.
Oh, that was a good shot, man. I liked it.
Blaze, you are cool motherfucker now.
I always was. What do you mean now? Oh shit.
Yo, guess what? 2025 March.
Somebody got to watch it.
Yo, guess what? I'm 2025.
Oh no. Oh, I lagged.
And the total was 6-7%.
As soon as he came in front of me, I lagged, man.
Seriously.
Thank you for the hydrate.
Report hacks. He isn't hacking, dude. He's just smart, dude.
Another glass down, I'm about to blow the whistle. To make you so you don't get...
Yeah, I have a question. Oh my god, Ghost. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna blow up in a few seconds?
He might.
No.
He might. He might.
Yo, it's Blaze.
I'm not gonna blow up. Yo,
if Blaze approves it, it means you're gonna actually blow up soon.
Oh damn! Oh. Bro, MP9 is good.
Talking to.
Oh damn. Inverted cross.
Hey, shimmy shimmy ya, shimmy ya, shimmy ya.
Swalalala.
Bro, this guy, hentai lover, is a bit crazy in your team, dude.
How? How is he crazy?
I think someone loves some
What do you mean someone? You love it too.
me? No. I don't do that. I'm not a bad guy. Guys, don't do drugs, don't do it. Blaze is kinda into it.
I ain't
He's
doing
used
drugs,
drinking.
I'm just doing fucking drugs. Alcohol.
Yeah. I wanna blow up.
Blow up.
I'm gonna
How?
Soon I'm gonna blow the whistle off your head.
get muted.
Now fuck that idea.
They might be in mid.
I got a lot of powers, sir. You don't know. No, actually I have barely some powers. I can't even mute you. Unless I mute yourself instead of like server mute. I can only mute you without the server. I can change your display name on the server. I can kick you. I can ban you.
No, you can't. Not allowed.
But like, but like mods on Discord, like they can not even server mute them, but like they can ban and kick. Like, what does this make sense?
Mhm.
Timeout and like mute. Okay, that's okay. Like that's one too. But, like ban. Oh, then that's a different story. Either add a super mod too, then like good guys can go boom.
Oh my god, he got killed.
He got boom, boom. I go boom.
Guys,
guess what?
Yeah. What's up?
I might not enter some streams while being in Croatia. Okay.
What?
I might not be a lot in the streams in Croatia if the
Ah,
Wi-Fi
it's
is
okay.
bad.
It's okay. It's
Like,
okay.
the thing is, last time where I was in Croatia, yeah,
Mhm.
the Wi-Fi was so bad. I even
Mhm.
even like the. How should I describe this? Even McDonald's Wi-Fi is better than that. Like you couldn't even watch like normal YouTube video.
Mhm.
Like one device could watch something without getting like kicked out of the Wi-Fi.
Oh my god, there's only 2 people left from our team. They're gonna plant on A.
Shimmy, shimmy, yay, shimmy, yay, shimmy, yay. I love nuggies.
Oof. Molly.
My game just.
Can he get this? Will he get this? Let's go. Oh, I like his gun. You guys wanna? Oh shit! No! No! Give it back! Give it back! No, I gave up my gun. Fuck. I dropped my gun by mistake.
Good job, our guy.
I teabag them. There's something PC here on malfunction. What do you mean? Teabag the guy. I teabag the guy.
Actually, you're not right. Ghost, your brain is malfunctioning, not your phone. Phones never malfunction. Unless you make your phone mad. That's when the species go around.
Oh shit! I almost died. I almost died.
Yeah.
Let's go. Somehow I saved myself. How many points do you need to win? Again?
13.
13. Okay. 2 more and we win.
Yes, and then you buy me a vodka.
No, I don't.
Just joking.
What do you mean?
I'm joking.
I know.
I'm not drunk today. My just turn itself off. Maybe your CPU has overloaded. That's what could possibly happen.
Oh wait, what? I don't know how this guy does it. My PC has black screen, it just turned itself off. OT? What do you mean OT? O time?
Maybe your PC just died and doesn't want to live because he's scared of you, maybe. That's what could happen sometimes.
No. It saw my shit performance and it died in embarrassment.
Yeah, my PC needs an upgrade too. Give me some money, guys.
Oh damn.
Not even that one.
Left. Come on. Let's go. Mr. Zafar, let's go. MP3 for a clutch defuse. One more, boys. One more. We need one more. I got 18 kills. Not bad.
Don't tell me it's the harmonica guy. Yeah, it is harmonica guy. No, whistle guy. my what's your baby? What's your baby? Let me know. What the hell am I even?
Hello, hello.
So
1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6.
7, 8, 9.
Uh,
Oh fuck! 6, 7, 6, 7.
No.
I'm just double checking if it's still fucking working.
Yes, I love your PC. Go boom. Put your PC on gasoline if it won't work again. I can buy you gasoline.
Oh, hell no.
Got one.
That's a good one.
Yo, this is a smexy of a bed, dude. Yo, this god, dude.
Oh, let's go! We won. We won.
Let's go.
My enemy is so weird, dude. You don't know what the hell his Avape has a skin, dude.
Mission
It has
completion.
like a pattern which I cannot say on Twitch.
Win one match to display a skill group.
Yo, Blaze, turn your eyes is gonna burn now.
What did you do?
Nothing.
No, no, no. I'm not. I'm not joining you. You join me.
Okay.
Akaru, is your game downloaded? Has your game downloaded? Done. Overtime? Nah. We won. We won. Is your game downloaded?
Hi, guys.
About to finish? Okay, okay, okay. We can wait. I'll be right back, okay? I need to get some... What do I need to get? I'm gonna get some
I don't
juice.
know. Okay, get some juice then.
Okay, go
About
and
to
get what you
finish.
gotta get.
I'm gonna entertain the chat. Hi, Akaru. How are you? How's your day? Down. Overtime? No, no overtime. About to finish. Is your game about to finish now? So you can play with us. 3 idiots, like always.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Hello, humans. Do you like my mic? I think my mic is a bit too loud. Can you even hear me on? Can you even hear me on stream?
I can hear you on stream and on voice chat perfectly.
Okay, cause like on Twitch it's kind of like quiet. But you wanna know something? Yo, mute yourself on Discord. Hi guys. Okay, it barely sounds loud on Discord, dude. No, he's getting snacks. Oh no, Blaze got snacks. Guys, prepare. He's gonna eat. No, he's gonna munch on his snacks. Guys, be careful. Blaze incoming. Hi, Blaze.
Hello.
How
I
are
could,
you?
I could hear you, you know?
Ton crackers.
Nutcrackers.
And
what is it?
Then, well, I'm still. It's 90.
I'll show you.
And I'm. Blaze.
Hmm.
Do you go boom?
No.
No. Someone go boom for me.
It's like peanut, but some kind of crackers over it.
Peanut butter? Peanut butter?
No, not butter.
Yo, what the hell? But I don't got Prime, so sure I can even play the same thing as you.
It's okay.
chicken tikka masala. Who just went boom?
Ghost Viking dead.
Blaze, you enjoying that something?
Hmm.
Okay, but I start, or are we no play, or are we gonna wait for Akaru?
We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait.
Okay. Hi Akaru, how are you? Yo.
Oh.
Ghost.
Yeah.
You know, you wanna know something?
Ghost is gonna go
Sure,
down
what?
in a bit.
Look behind you. You wanna know what's behind you? There's no one. Interesting.
There are people here.
Not like behind you.
Yes, there are.
Hi, people behind Ghost. How are you guys? What's his real name? No. What the hell am I missing? Akaru, join the damn lobby.
My fucking siblings are behind me.
Who? What?
Maxi's brain lagged.
What?
Hello.
Akaru, hop in the
Hi,
VC.
Akaru. How are you?
Hop in VC. We are in my server. General Hangout.
Oh no, let's join live. So
No,
Ghost
no.
doesn't scream with his whistle.
No. General Hangout it is. What the fuck do you mean so that Ghost doesn't scream? I'm gonna pull him up even if we go there.
Hi Akaru, how are you? How are you, human? How has your day been? Do you love chicken nuggets?
Oh.
Huh?
Oh.
Hmm.
My
Hello,
life is
Akaru.
confusing.
Hello.
You're confused and my life is. So look, there's two differences. You are confused, and I am like my life is confused.
You're confused, I'm confusion.
No, like he got like a like no, look, like he got a temporary confusion, and my life is full of confusions because I don't know what the wait, what did I want to say again? I actually forgot what I wanted to
Proving
say.
my point, Maxi.
Huh?
Alright, let's just go.
Just play the game.
I
don't
started
have
it.
game.
Oh, Pearl's
Time to
playing
get
Cult of the
into
Lamb.
fucking lava.
Akaru, how was that bronze head one? How's the game? Was it fun?
I mean, a lot of chaos, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of chaos, I'll tell you that one.
I found a new one with a lot of chaos as well. It's called Crash Out Crew.
Yo, Blaze, look on your second monitor.
Fuck you. Stop it. It's called Crash Out Crew. I think you can play with 4 players. Yeah.
Oh, it's only 4.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, it's a
For-
buy game though.
Yeah, by game.
You have to buy the game.
How much is it for you? $3?
No, that's like 100.
Wait, what?
500?
No, 100.
100?
Oh, wow.
Can't be.
It is. It can't be, but it is.
How?
Yeah, Blaze, look Blaze, look on your second monitor.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Wait.
looking. He's
Wait.
gonna send me something.
Look, it's
Okay.
you.
Oh my god.
You know who that is?
Yeah, I can see
You
who
know
this
the
is.
you
Everyone
know
can
his
see who this is.
name.
Oh wow, the
No,
matchmaking is taking quite well.
don't show the chat, bro. Just leaked. Bro leaked chat. Bro leaked chat.
Leaking chat, leaking chat, leaking chat. You go sleep or play.
No, you wanna see something? This is me. Every time I drink, I go this.
Hmm.
Wait.
You become
Let me see.
Putin. I see.
No, it's not Putin. It's not Putin.
Hmm.
Then who the hell is it?
I don't know. I go dancing. And then we go
Oh,
happy.
perfect.
And then I go happy. You see, very happy.
And I just say this. Hmm. How many do I have? I have some stickers.
Stickers, like near the emoji and like glitter or something.
I wanna gamble. Give me a
Okay.
keep. Why are you trying to
I
be
love
cute, man? Why are you trying to be cute? What's the please?
No, look. I have an offer. If I get good skin, you get skin.
No, I don't want.
Does
I
it
don't
really
want.
sound fair?
I don't want.
I gamble.
Oh yeah,
We
please.
gamble.
Hmm.
Open the crate right now.
Open what? Career?
the crib.
Open a crate. Skin crate.
Skin crate?
No,
Not,
show me.
not,
I
no,
wanna
thank you.
watch. I love gamble. I love gamble. Me wanna see gamble.
Hmm.
If you don't show me,
Crate.
if you don't
Uh,
show me gamble, I'm gonna go boom. Cause you're
Go
just gonna
boom.
make me mad. Cause I wanna gamble too.
Go boom. Go boom. It's okay.
No, but
How much does it
yo,
need?
Akaro, give me a key. I wanna gamble. I have like two Wait, what do I have? I have 2 kilowatt cases.
Hmm.
I'm broke.
Yo, you give me key, I give you skin. Good trade.
Oh my god, I don't even play CS.
You want me to do this?
Round. Yes, buy me a key too. Buy me a key too.
No, no. I'm not buying myself, man. Oh shit. It's stuck.
Wait, Baru, yo, Blaze.
I'm not able to do it.
Yo, Blaze,
Hit
you wanna
escape,
know
hit
Stop.
escape, and it's up.
I can't.
Oh,
It was stuck on checkout.
oh.
Yo, CS2 wants to gamble. CS2 wants to gamble. Just buy that key, dude. Your key is like 10 cents less money than mine. Like 227 INR in euros is like 10 cents less. Like, dude.
I didn't even get the
I'm-
key, man.
Huh?
I didn't even get a key. It just stuck over there.
Press Alt F4. It's gonna help. Trust me.
All the four. Not helping
Yeah.
again.
No, is it not working?
Oh, he's gone.
It helped. It helped. Let's go. It helped.
Yo, let's go.
Imagine it take Blaze's money and not give him a key. He just scams him.
I didn't even do it. I didn't even add anything.
Arun, I have a question. Where are you from? Cause your voice sounds like magical.
What? Damn.
But like, where are you from? Are you
Yes.
magical or something?
I guess.
Where are you
Hmm.
from? Are you magical?
No. Guess.
Oh. No, I don't know. I don't know what country. Portuguese.
I'm
No,
from Asia.
Espanol. Asia?
No, Asian. I'm Asian.
Which part from Asia?
Pretty close by.
Huh?
Pretty close by.
And
both
I
countries.
mean, like, which country in Asia?
Try to guess.
Banana?
Banana.
The heck is a banana?
bro, turn into a minion. Banana.
Remember what you back. Banana.
Banana. Yo, guys, we have a cake as an enemy. I think we're gonna die to the cake. I'm scared of
4 doors. Out.
No!
What?
4 doors more. What?
Yeah. Don't.
What the fuck?
Akaru.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Give me boom. Give me bomb. Yes. I go boom. I go boom. Boom. No, give me boom.
Boom.
Boom. Wait. Is there a way to kill myself? Doesn't work. Oh. I wanna go boom.
Hold a grenade in your hand.
I'd rather not.
Nice.
Hey, Blaze, you took my kill.
I took the second kill as well.
Blaze, good. Akaru, good job. No, Blaze, good job.
Come on. Plan.
Come on.
You. There you go.
3 o'clock.
Where? Huh?
Nice.
No,
I
next.
got disconnected.
Yep, you're done.
You were disconnected?
I think. Yeah, I got disconnected. I think I go boom. And he was awarded compensation for the suicide of Maxi. Oh, I didn't do suicide. Scammer. No, CS2, like it said, because I left, they got compensation for me doing suicide. Guys, I don't do that. Fuck you, who just flashed me.
Flash him again. Oh my god. Someone shot me. Give me this.
Flashbang.
I'm running back.
Shy.
Blaze, go on site. Stop camping.
I don't wanna.
Dude, everyone is at here.
Oh my god.
My god.
Blaze, you got the spike. I mean, not the spike, the bomb.
Spike? Someone played
Oh
too
my
much
god.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say that. Valo much?
Fuck you, I just Blaze, I could just take the Galil, but you stopped me from taking Galil. I got no Galil. Oh, boom, I love.
Oh.
I got disconnected again.
That's again.
It says I got disconnected by Steam.
Oh.
I did suicide again. What the fuck? No Steam logon.
Die.
You see what I said? Dude, how lovely. Isn't it lovely?
It is. Oh shit.
Well, if this is gonna happen like every fucking round. If I get disconnected, please.
Let's go.
Blaze, can you go boom?
Let's go, Blaze.
I want my gun. I'm going AWP. I'm go. Ooh, okay. Nice. I stole someone's AK.
Yeah.
Imagine I kill Maxi as soon as he spawns.
The guy's flashbang.
Somebody got flashbanged.
Ow.
Bang.
What the heck?
Let's, I'm with you, I'm with you.
That's what I'm
Yo,
scared
guys,
of, to be honest.
I'm a bomb. I have a bomb on me.
No, you don't.
Oh my fucking god.
From where?
You got that one boy off.
Oh, he got disconnected.
I got disconnected
How
because my
many
game
times
saying
you're gonna get disconnected this time?
Oh my
I'm
god.
getting logged out for the reason for not having fucking Steam account. I don't have a Steam account apparently.
Hmm.
Did I get banned or something for saying I go boom?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Wait, I got a message. Bro, I got a VAC warning actually for saying something bad in VC.
Oh my god, stop. Akaru,
Uh-huh.
you shot me.
No, he shot you.
No, 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 no. You shot me.
Bro, I can't even launch CS2.
This sucks.
The game won't even
Nice.
launch. It says, like, I got disconnecting for not having a CS, apparently not having a Steam account.
Huh.
And then, like, as soon as I log in, I just get a warning that I apparently do not have that I apparently have a VAC warning now. There's gonna expire in a month for cussing in VC apparently. I love that. I'm playing with I'm playing with a Tigo. I love money. No, I hate money. Yo, let me go, Akaru.
Alright.
AVP. Lovely. I love AVP. I think Cake is cooking.
Nice.
I'm the only guy alive. Run for your life.
Run.
Love AVP.
Can I press enter?
I don't know.
Going B. Oh shit.
Oh my gosh. Lovely.
This is so fucking lovely.
I love this game.
Uh-huh.
Yo, actually, guys, you gotta approve. Do I actually sound like a kid that has like autism?
I don't think so.
Cause I'm just yapping some shit. The flashbang, and I got go boom. I love go boom. Yo, Blaze flashbang, be careful. Flashbang. Yo, smoked downstairs. Planting. I'm gonna get disconnected.
Oh my god. Stop. Stop. No, 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 no.
Damn.
I missed 2 shots.
Shy. No.
Oh my. What the fuck? Nice, Akaru. Good guy, good guy.
Up on my body, up on my body.
Yeah. You can just buy another one.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm poor. I don't have money.
Officially drunk.
Me? Drunk? What's that? What's like being drunk? Go, bro, move.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I got flashbang. I love it. I got twice.
It's okay.
I love this game. Bro, how much laughing. My eyes are actually hurt.
That's a lot of flashbang.
It is.
I'm scared. Bro, Akaru fuck.
Flashbang.
I see flashbang.
How many do you guys have? How many do you guys have?
A lot.
Molotov.
A lot. Seems like.
GG's.
AWP.
A lot of flash bang.
Yeah. Don't ask me how I have MVP.
I love you, barbecue. Yo, guys, I got 2 kills. I got 2 kills and 5 deaths. How lovely.
Oh, lovely.
How lovely.
Yeah, lovely.
That's a flashbang. Be careful with flashbang. Boom.
Oh my god. Oh my god! Oh my god!
One second.
Damn.
Okay. Oh shit.
Oh my gosh, my aim is so amazing.
That's not how you use that gun, man.
Hi guys, how are you? Yo, fuck.
Oh my god.
Blade, are you okay?
No.
Shit.
What did I do?
That's how you use the gun.
I'm little laughing so hard I can't barely breathe. Oh shit.
Oh my god, that's a lot of
Sometimes you have so much fun you can turn a random game into something funny.
I'll get the op.
Up? Can I have up? Me give up.
Three people have op.
Yep.
Can I have up?
Bro, I wanna just die just so I can watch Maxi.
I can help you. I mean,
No, fuck you. What do you mean?
Then just run into the light and make them
I blazed.
Stay away.
easily kill you.
You like?
It's exactly in my eyes, dude. Oh, wow. I can do that.
No scope.
Let's go. Good job. You know you can get banned, right?
Can I get AWP? Boom. I love boom.
Bro, you know you can get banned for that, right?
For what?
Another bamboo.
For hitting teammates.
It was a single time, dude.
No, you can get banned. I'm just telling you.
Bamboo.
Oh my god. 3 people in a straight line.
One headshot is
AWP
all
and
needed.
then
What if they have an op?
to everyone.
Yep. What's up? Ooh! He's mine, he's mine, he's mine.
First come, first serve.
Oh.
A tragedy.
Fucker saving on the last round. Ah, he got it.
Where those assholes at? Ah, perfect timing.
Damn, already on the second half. This is bandit country.
Yeah.
Akaru, you feel you look like a ninja about to kill like some random dude with your knives.
Yeah, probably will, but not sure. Let's have at it, mate. Decoys out.
Well,
Footsteps on me.
Boom, 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 boom.
Ooh.
At our spawn, at our spawn, at our spawn. One is camping at spawn.
Where was the bomb again?
There.
why you camping at spawn?
Blade, you have 12 shots left. Change your weapon.
Let's go!
That's all he did.
Let's go!
Let's fucking go.
They're actually gonna surrender, dude.
They might. I'm not gonna lie, they might.
I would love to kill them. I love Goobum. Yo, let me get some kills. I have 4. And mostly are just demon spawn.
B.
I think it was all B. I don't think it was all B.
GG's.
Let's go. Are you gonna take one jump every round or every 6 sets?
Oh my god.
Damn. That one spooked.
Yeah. Kali Strang. Wait. How do you spell that name? Kalistan Raj. Wait, what? Oh shit! No! I ran out of bullets! I ran out of bullets! Fuck!
No. Well, shite.
Hmm.
Let's see what the situation is.
You got this. You don't got this. Good job.
Ooh, damn, good job.
I said good job.
Yeah, that is a good job.
$23 kills. Let's go.
Well, your headshot percentage is very low.
Perfect.
What is HSP, by the way? What's the full form? Maxi? Oh, he's back.
So much fun.
So am I. Give me Anubis. I wanna win some rounds on that.
Where's the stingray, man? You gotta
Wait,
get the.
did I ban stream elements?
You gotta get the knife.
You're gonna make those vines burn.
А чё? What?
Это чтоб дороги тебя не тошнило.
Спать. Около.
It says I banned stream elements. What?
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did, Blake. You want me to unban him?
Yeah. But how do I do it?
I did it. I unbanned him.
Thank you. I was trying to ban another guy.
You were just being not a smart guy and then you accidentally banned him.
Ban is 3 elements, crazy though.
Yo, guess what? Blaze.
Hmm.
No, okay, no, not right now, not right now.
Don't unban the guy I just banned.
Okay, who is it?
Uh,
Who is that?
Alright.
I don't care. The name is something like kinda anti-Indian.
Not good?
Alright.
Yep.
Okay.
Accept. Dust 2. Let's go. Dust 2.
Boost.
Let's go.
Boost.
Let's go. Let's go.
Skip the map. Somebody skip the map.
Wait, what?
Somebody skip the match. If somebody skips the match, that means no match.
Blaze, you wanna know something?
You skipped the match.
Hi, Blaze. Blaze.
Hi. Oh, you're a green one now. And Akaru's pink.
You just wasted a mag, Blaze.
It's okay.
I'm not pink,
Hi.
I'm red.
You're
Hi,
pink.
Orange. How are you?
You're just colorblind, I'm red.
I'm blue.
Oh, I am blue. What do you mean? You're green.
I'm blue. Double die.
No, you're green.
Oh, I'm green. Oh, okay.
No, Blaze is green.
Sorry. Who's green?
Yeah, Blaze.
Blaze is green.
Blaze.
Ow.
Thank you, Maxi.
No problem. Dude, this Princey guy, his aim is so horrible. Dude, this Princey guy, his aim is so horrible. Even my little brother with no mouse and keyboard experience would have better aim, dude.
Oh shit, no.
Blaze,
Yeah.
hi.
Hi.
Blaze.
Bro, my gun ran out of bullets.
Blaze, you wanna do something for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, have fun.
Oh my god. Fuck you, bitch. Oh my
Have a good
god.
day. Yo, guys, look at Blaze having no the glasses on.
I can't
and
see.
Look how good he will be.
I can't see shit.
Okay,
It looks
want me
better
to
without
refund?
glasses, but it can't see.
You want me to refund, and then you can play.
I can't see.
Blaze, you wanna refund? You can refund it, then take.
No. I took your money.
My money.
Mm-hmm. I took your channel points money.
Wait, money is money? Since when is money?
Sorry.
Yes.
I'm not gonna waste any money
Blaze,
for the
you
next
want this
few
gun?
rounds.
It's your gun, Blaze. You
Yeah.
Say
Thank
please,
you.
say please.
Fuck you.
Blaze, you wanna know something?
Yes.
Look at me.
Too far, man.
There's one.
Too far.
I just flashbang myself. Awesome. They're mid. Thank you for the AK. I didn't even buy shields, so I'm dead. Blaze, you want AK? You want the AK?
No.
Okay.
Who?
I sacrificed myself to get.
I didn't even see any of them.
Well, you're not supposed to. That's the whole
You
point.
killed it.
I shot blind, man. I shot blind. I know. I shot blind.
Yes.
Seems like you have a sharp
Blaze,
precision, even
Blaze, look at
if
these
you
guys,
have
look
no
at these
glasses.
guys.
Oh, damn. Good job. No, you keep it.
It's an MP7. They're coming mid, apparently. I hear flashbangs from mid. Smoke from mid too. My god. Blaze, after this round, I cannot leave because I gotta bring my bike.
B?
To my friend. Okay?
Drink water.
Is it A or B?
Become
They planted A, by the way.
Blaze, look what I said. After this round, I go away cause I gotta drive bike, gun, and then I go Croatia. And then have good day.
Ah, shit.
Gosh.
I think I can put on my glasses now, right?
I drive place.
Oh no,
Hi,
no,
hi,
no,
hi.
it's still not 5 minutes. It's still not 5 minutes. Can someone buy me a AWP? Yo, dude, do you need a gun? Never mind, he doesn't want one.
Who? Me?
Shay, I gotta go. My family having problems, but I probably gonna fight on tomorrow.
Okay, Viking. Thank you for joining.
Have a good day, sir. Thank you.
Take
for
care,
joining.
man.
Have
Have a good night.
life.
Okay, see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye. Oh shit. Bro, I saw
They're
6.
always going mid. They're always going mid.
Yeah.
Blaze.
Yeah. But I can't see, no. This is the first round I can see now. I put on my glasses. Good night, Ghost Viking. Thank you for joining. Have good rest. Take care, take care. Bye bye.
I lost mag. He's saving. Nice. See, I cooked. I think Ghost gave me that like bad spell. I even cooked than normal. Like he gave me the bad spell.
Cooking him when he's not there, huh?
Blaze, you want a skin?
No. I'm good.
What are they?
On B, on B, on B, on B.
Okay.
Spike on B. Bomb on B, bomb on B, bomb on B. Good job, good job. By one. Let's go.
By the way, guys, look the way I looked at the bomb and I looked at Akaro. You want Akaro? Do you want skin?
Nah, I'm good.
Blaze, you want skin?
Cooking.
Sure.
Cooking even without the skin.
You have
I didn't have money.
Yeah, then take money from me. Make calls. Someone is at A, cause like someone shot my fake. Yeah, they're still shooting. I'm just hallucinating. stay A for safety. Oh, bomb is at B. Bomb is at B. Bomb is at B.
Oh, right here, right here, right here. Damn.
Guys, I'm gonna hang up, okay? I'm gonna leave now.
Huh? Wait, what?
I'm
Mid game?
Because I gotta go.
Okay. Take care.
I gotta leave.
Take care, take care.
Because I gotta go drive my bike until my parents come then pick me up and so, you know.
I see, I see, I see. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay. Have a good day. See you in a few. See you in
Days.
like 1 day or something. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Alright, Blaze, it's time for you to carry his weight.
I'll try, man. A most probably, or mid. They're gonna be mid.
Nah. A. Ooh.
What?
Damn.
Yeah. We should get like more money now, right? Because he's gone.
Yep. Wait, what? What the heck? Oh, my gun just disappeared. Okay.
I think I got your gun.
Oh well.
Akaru's M4A1 is. Wait, no.
Ah, shit. Oh my god, I missed.
I saw the whips.
Yep.
Save the up, save the up. At this point, save the up. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let's go, fellas. Laying down smoke.
Oof.
Throwing smoke.
But we have the bomb at least.
He's here. Nice.
Heck
Good shit.
all of those spam.
Good shit.
Bro, this is invalid. The flash doesn't pop. Doesn't pop instantly. Blaze, I suggest you do not rush there.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not.
Oh, one of them is low.
Ah. Nice. Last round of the first half. Let's go.
Oh my god. Wait, do you think... Wait, does Zeus kill teammate instantly also?
I don't know. Maybe.
It'll be very interesting if it kill instantly rather than reduce damage.
B, B, B.
Oh. That's an op.
B to mid, I think. Wait. B to mid.
Is it? Spike down. Not spike down, bomb down. God damn it.
Oh. Valor mach check karo.
Yeah. Oh my god, the valor. Too much valor. Yeah, his side doesn't even matter anyway. The same thing. Spike bomb.
Yep. Just different shape, different game. Same objective though. Same objective, yeah.
Yep. But this one, man, I don't know. No more ability is crazy.
A? We're going A?
I don't know. I'm just chilling. Alright. Ah, shit.
Oh shit, damn. Fuck. I gave them the bomb.
Oh, yeah. Where?
Two mid, literally outside spawn.
Hey.
Yeah, that's how I got killed. Bro, literally headshotted me.
I killed three. By the way.
I have C4, why?
I literally cleaned up 3 of them.
What's the use of Zeus?
Close range. Close range, one shot. One shot, close range.
I'm on A. Got A. Maybe. I think.
Oh my god.
I might need the guns they had. If they had
You
any.
got a shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh, Zeus. Oh, why do you have Zeus? Not really good for this map.
Oh shit. Oh damn. Bad PD.
I got body blocked by my own teammate, dude. Kill me, yeah.
Let's go B.
B, not mid. We ain't picking mid.
Nope.
Well, somebody's mid.
Foots. Shit.
Got it, straight.
Bro, kill me with a
What
farmers.
the fuck? I'm alone. I need footstep. Any amount of footstep will do. Okay, that's good news.
Last mag. Behind. Last one. Play for time. Nice. Good job, Bakar. Let's go. 4K.
Bruh.
I'm
Bruh,
going
you
up.
guys making me do everything.
I'm going up.
Bruh.
No shield up.
You guys making me do everything. Yeah. Can you even hit the ball?
Nope. They just ran so fast.
You have to predict. Oh. Hey, nice shot.
Thank you.
You have to spike. I mean, you have the ball. Nice.
Oh.
Yep. Go. Nice. Only one left.
Could be a backstab. Nice. Oh shit. I messed up my knees. Cracked my knees while jumping.
Imagine.
Told.
The bomb is on the ground.
Ah, stop body blocking me, motherfucker.
Go B, go B, go B.
Go A, no? We're
No, no,
A
no.
clear.
They're all coming A. They all went A. Okay, never mind.
Now they all dead. Oh, this guy not planting. Oh my god.
Hmm. Okay, last round and last match.
4v5. Oh my god, how the frick we're winning?
No idea.
Oh yeah. Careful from A.
Oh shit.
I literally said careful from A.
Yeah. I heard. Where is yellow roaming around?
Yeah, no idea.
I think even he has no idea. Never mind, I take it back. Never mind it. I give it again. Oh shit, I take it back.
There's one more there. Yep.
Oh shit.
Oh, damn.
Fuck. Damn, that was bad. And I give them all up.
Yep.
It's okay, I have an up again.
You know up. I up.
Oh, you up? Okay.
Yeah, I up. I'll up.
Play for picks.
Nope. I got headshotted through the wall.
Damn.
Oh wait, I also hit him. Okay.
I messed up.
You really did mess up.
Oh, GG's!
Oh, damn. Okay, I was not expecting that. Okay.
Ah. Oh my god, my back.
Counter-Strike. It's easy until we get to the real match.
Yep. It's been easy until one of us left.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah, shouldn't you be asleep by now?
I am gonna sleep now. I'm ending.
Alright.
Alright.
Sleep.
Take care, man.
Alright, take care.
Bye bye. Good game. Thank you for joining.
No problem. Thank you for playing.
Take care. Okay. Is there even anyone left right now to raid? I don't think anyone's left now. Okay, I'm gonna just end stream. Thank you all for joining. If someone's there.